Hi, I'm Jason Graw, a proud member of the Musical Theater Guild. Welcome to the Alex Theater. The Alex Theater has been a Glendale landmark since 1925. Now, originally a neighborhood vaudeville house and movie palace, today the venue serves as a world-class performing arts and entertainment center. With a seating capacity of 1,411. In the 20s, there were 8 theaters on Brand Boulevard. The Alex is the only one that remains to this day. Perhaps the beautiful Marquee and Spire have something to do with that. Let's go out front and I'll show you. Follow me. Designed by architects Charles R. Selkirk and Arthur G. Lindley, the Alexander Theater, as it was originally known, is adorned with Greek and Egyptian motifs at the entrance. Now, instead of the concession stands that you currently see, this forecourt was lined with double-story commercial businesses, including dress and candy shops, restaurants, and offices. Also during this time period, you would have seen a classical fountain on the north side, palm trees, and footed urns and vases. This spectacular open-air entrance was modeled after the Egyptian Theater in Hollywood. It was considered unusual for a theater to have an outdoor space like this, and we are thrilled to have one of the remaining few preserved today. Today, the forecourt is used for outdoor events and as a gathering and meeting spot before and after performances. Eventually, in 1940, the stores were demolished because they blocked the theater's entrance. The Alex Theater was built in 1925 by theater magnate Claude L. Langley, who named the theater for his grandson, Alexander. There was initially a flat Alexander sign designed in 1928 to announce the upcoming attractions to the public on Brand Boulevard. In Langley's own words, the Alex was built to provide a good place of entertainment to keep Glendalians from going to Los Angeles and Hollywood. By the 1930s, the theater was already commonly known as the Alex. But it wasn't until 1940, when the Marquee and Spire were constructed at the sidewalk, that the name officially changed. Why, do you ask? Simply put, the word Alexander was too long to fit on the marquee. Let's take a look now at one of the most recognizable iconic structures in Southern California. The recognizable neon Marquee, Spire, and Starburst are among the many grand architectural features of the Alex Theater. Designed in 1940 by famed architect S. Charles Lee, the neon tower stands 100 feet tall and is topped with a spiky globe which is about 8 feet in diameter. They were built in an effort to extend the glamour of the Alex out to Brand Boulevard. Lee famously claimed that the show starts on the sidewalk. And you can really see this idea come through as they draw not only the theatergoers' attention, but also the cars and pedestrians passing by. The three-dimensional marquee, outdoor ticketing kiosk, and decorative terrazzo floor, crested in bright tropical colors, were added at this time as well, completing the distinct look of the exterior. Architecturally speaking, this style here is known as Streamline Modern, still part of the Art Deco period, yet a precursor to modernism. In 2015, to celebrate the Alex Theater's 90th birthday, Glendale Arts created the Illuminate Fund and brought the community together to raise $75,000 for the complete restoration of the neon Spire, Starburst, and Marquee. The Illuminate Fund is a well-established fund now that supports the ongoing preservation of this iconic feature and symbol of Glendale. Now, before we enter the theater itself, take a look at the plaque honoring the Alex Theater's addition to the National Register of Historic Places in 1996. This means the Alex benefits from special protections. This is also the very last one standing out of 12 theaters in the city of Glendale. Such a treasure that is worthy of the community's support. From the 1930s to the 1950s, the Alex operated as a preview house for major Hollywood films. Searchlights were placed outside as a beacon to let the public know when a showing was about to take place. Here's a fun fact. One celebrity anecdote of the time that comes to mind was the preview of National Velvet in 1944, starring legendary actors Elizabeth Taylor and Mickey Rooney. Now, this was Miss Taylor's first major film at the age of 12. However, due to her tardiness, she and her mother had to stand in the back of the full theater until some seats opened up. In 1940, a structural roof was added above the forecourt, which was later removed during the renovations of 1992. As we make our way back through the forecourt, let's take a closer look at the front facade of the Alex, which was restored to its original design by Glendale Arts in 2012. The Greek and Egyptian Revival architecture was romanticized and popularized during this time period as part of the Art Deco movement and discovery of King Tut's tomb. Hollywood glamorized this style even more by featuring Rudolph Valentino in The Chic in 1921. In fact, Charles L. Langley actually wrote about Greek art history. Take notice of the terrazzo flooring and coffered ceiling above with an egg and dart, Greek key, and a palmette motif on the cast stone tripods on each side. It's easy to spot the Egyptian Revival details: Doric columns with a battered base, the stepped pyramid roof, band of Egyptian-influenced palmette pattern. Let's also take a look at the Greek Revival details: the Greek key, Roman grille, Ionic columns at the entrance. And both are tied together through other stylized and modern interpretations to the Jazz Age of the 1920s. Sun motif, original to the 1925 design, removed in 1940 when a roof was added to the forecourt. Continuing our theatrical sequence of entry, or where the audience goes next, we find ourselves in a lobby that has been mostly restored to its original 1925 state. During the restoration, with the removal of the black paint from the windows and the white wash on the ceiling, the beautiful copper ceiling we see today was uncovered. Through historic investigations such as chemical paint analysis and photographic evidence, the original and classical appearance was recreated. Throughout the lobby, you'll see the gold leaf and glazing, the crown moldings, and the iconic mezzanine colonnade. The same Greek key, egg and dart, and the lotus motif that appear outside and on the spire are repeated here as well. Although not of the original design, the decorative light fixtures were restored during the 1948 post-fire renovations. It's clear that we are in a space that leaves a lasting impression. Another exciting Egyptian-inspired feature is known as the Mummy Room, as the door blends into the wall, making a great secret passage for either a mummy or supplies for our staff. You decide. Let's make our way into the auditorium. Here we are on the orchestra level, with 768 seats and the stage in front of us. Designed as an atmospherium, the auditorium gives an open-air illusion of being seated in an ancient garden. This 1925 restored design is unique in that only a few theaters in Southern California use this design, and only a handful still exist today. The crown and glory here is the restored sunburst at the top of the proscenium. The painted sky and cove lighting gives the illusion of the sun setting. To thematically tie in this room, notice our painted mural of a Greek garden, which was replicated based on site investigation and documentation. The urns that are flanking the stage were also replicated based on historic photographs. So here's a fun fact. The Alexander was originally built with 2,000 seats. Now the Alex Theater has a capacity for 1,411, I think I mentioned before, evenly distributed between the orchestra and the upper levels. Now the reason is that the original chairs from the 1920s were significantly smaller, as people were generally smaller than they are today. Clearly there was no portos. The seats you see were inspired by the 1948 redesign and were installed in 1993. The Alex Theater had its fair share of historic moments throughout its many years. On Friday, September 4th, 1925, the Alexander officially opened with a silent film entitled Lightnin'. A large Wurlitzer pipe organ provided live music during the silent film screenings. However, it soon became obsolete around 1929 due to the talking pictures. Fun fact: during World War II, many civic events were held at the Alex, such as war bond rallies, and it was here that residents were able to receive news of the war and see footage by watching newsreels. The Alex Theater became a place for the community to come together and find comfort with neighbors and friends. In 1948, a workman's cigarette caused a major fire on the stage. Ironically, this occurred while the curtains were being flame-proofed. A significant amount of damage was done to the stage and the house. The original grand drape with a Greek scene was lost, as were the original vases flanking the stage, an organ, and grand piano. Instead of repairing the atmospherium ceiling, it was simply painted over. These major renovations took an impressive 3 weeks to complete. An asbestos curtain was installed at the proscenium arch. What was once considered a safe fireproofing material, asbestos is now known as a health hazard. The fire curtain hanging today is a replica. During the 1950s through the 1970s, the Alex was owned by Mann Theaters. As a single-screen theater, it was difficult to compete with the invention of the television and the multi-screen theater chains that started popping up around town. While attendance declined, so did the condition of the theater. In 1990, the Glendale Historical Society generated awareness in the community and advocated for the theater's preservation by putting on a show titled Alexander Then and Now. And 2 years later, the Glendale Redevelopment Agency purchased the theater and dedicated over $6 million for restorations and the conversion of a single-screen theater to a performing arts center. Original wall paintings and decorations were either restored or replicated, and on New Year's Eve, 1993, the Alex Theater had a grand reopening with guests dressed up to the nines in 1920s costumes. Bob Hope attended the event and made a speech to mark the occasion. Today, the Alex Theater is operated by Glendale Arts, a nonprofit organization. Since 2008, Glendale Arts has managed an average of 200 days of activity a year, including a variety of performances, screenings, television shoots, special events such as corporate meetings, award shows, receptions, and graduations. Now, currently, the Alex is home to 6 resident companies, including the Alex Film Society, Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra, Glendale Youth Orchestra, the Los Angeles Ballet, Gay Men's Chorus of Los Angeles, and Musical Theater Guild. In 2014, under the stewardship of Glendale Arts and in partnership with the City of Glendale, a 6,600 square foot expansion of the Alex Theater's backstage facilities were completed to better serve the delivery, loading, and setup needs of productions hosted at the venue. The upgraded amenities included an increase in wing space, additional dressing rooms, storage and shop space, a new freight elevator to access the street and subterranean levels, a new passenger elevator, and additional stair and hallway access to assist with loading. Before the expansion, these stairs were a part of the theater's back parking lot. When the theater hosted large productions, tents would be set up outside and used as an additional holding space for performers. Countless notable performers, celebrities, and public figures have appeared at the Alex throughout the decades. To memorialize these moments, an autograph wall was created in 2014 in the new backstage wing. The first artist to add his name to the wall was Martin Short, who headlined the theater's grand reopening performance. Through the renovations, 3 new identical dressing rooms were added, each with 14 makeup stations and each with LED lights. There is plenty of room for a large chorus or ensemble. The expansion revolutionized the Alex Theater's functionality as a performing arts and entertainment center. Let's head to the green room, which is the performer's waiting area to go on stage. It's unknown why the term green room was coined and became the industry standard. Some theories include that actors found green to be a soothing color that would calm their stage fright. Through this door is the orchestra pit, which can be raised or lowered by a special elevator installed in 1999 with a 9,000-pound capacity. The orchestra pit can hold up to 35 musicians, and when not in use as an orchestra pit, the elevator is raised, becoming an extension of the apron of the stage. We are now standing in the wings of stage right. I don't know why I'm whispering. No one else is here. Now here you see the modernized rigging for the lights and curtains installed in 1993. Over on stage left is a 60-foot ladder that allows the crew to climb all the way up to the gridiron, which is the structure above the stage where technicians hang the scenery and lighting. From the stage, the performer has a spectacular view of the orchestra, terrace and lights, and balcony with anti-proscenium cove lighting. At the top of the balcony is the projection booth, where 2 follow spots are joined by 2 35mm projectors and 1 new digital projector installed in 2019. By providing access to both 35mm and digital projectors, the Alex Theater remains a relevant Los Angeles venue, balancing its historic importance with modern amenities. Let's go up to the balcony and take a closer look. Welcome to the Terrace and the balcony. Now, the terrace was added during the 1993 renovation. With extra legroom and comfortable seating, it was designed to be one of the best locations in the house to watch a performance. The balcony seats have a fantastic view of the atmospheric ceiling. Am I right? This area was greatly neglected during the 1970s. As the designated smoking section, the ceiling became greatly discolored. Ultimately, the gold leafing on the sunburst above the proscenium was ruined. In addition, as attendance was declining, this area was closed to the public. Seats were removed from the balcony to replace the ones in the orchestra that needed repairing. The operator at the time completely devastated this space. Thankfully, the entire community came together, led by a strong coalition of activists, historians, residents, and concerned citizens to restore the beautiful Alex Theater to its original glory. Since 1925, the Alex Theater has remained the most impressive theater of its kind. Today, the Alex Theater is the anchor of the Arts and Entertainment District and the creative center of Glendale. Lauded as an icon and a cultural landmark, it is honored and treasured by many who appreciate not only its historical value, but recognize the importance of preserving culture, continuing heritage, and passing these along to future generations. My name's Jason Gra, and I hope you've enjoyed our tour. Thank you so much. This tour was made possible by the generosity of the Glendale Historical Society, which, since its creation in 1979, has provided financial contributions and advocacy efforts toward the preservation of the historic Alex Theater.